Hey guys, Alex from 7th Hour Films back again with Delicious in Dungeon. Once again, it is before lunch. That's just how it is this week. So I'm hungry, and I'm sure there's going to be delectable foods that are going to make me more hungry. So, last time around we had roast basilisk omelet and kakiage, I think is how you say that. Basically, they killed a basilisk, and then they picked some mandrakes, and there was some turmoil with the gang and Marcille, because she was feeling like she was a burden, and they had to be like, no, you're not a burden, we're just, frustrated, basically. And then they eventually found a room with a bunch of traps that Chilchuck was dealing with. However, Senshi wanted to use those traps for cooking, much to Chilchuck's fear and horror, but they did manage to do it, and they had good meals, really, really good meals. And again, I'm sure they're going to have great meals today, and I'm going to be really, really hungry. It's just one of those weeks. It just sort of worked out that this is before lunch, and I'm hungry. So, like always, the reaction is down in the description and in the pinned comment for your viewing pleasure. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode of Delicious in Dungeon. Here we go. Well, we've done it. We have found the first episode of this show that did not make me hungry. Just no. It's so funny because, they go through all of this and then it's like, and then they eat it and it's like, well, it's not bad. I guess first attempt, like with a few more attempts, they could probably make it something really, really good, but Anyway, that was weird. So, I'm definitely going to have to ask now, is there a specific reason the animation looked different in this episode, or was, I don't know, were they just feeling like that day? I don't know. I remember back in, the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters show, there would be a lot of times, they didn't have a consistent art director on that show, I think. And so, from episode to episode, there would be massive changes in how everything looked. Specifically, you could tell by Yugi, how different each artist was per episode. So I'm wondering if that's kind of what's going on here, because some of it, I don't know, some of the drawings, basically, some of the art on each of them, it just felt a little off, at least from the last two episodes. Not that it was bad, it just felt different. So anywho, okay, it's very strange. You know what I like, though? I like that Leos isn't just he's not just a pretty face, He's not just Mr. Man, He's, I am the knight, and I am, Mr. Man, and I will go and I will fight and stuff. He's so goofy that I really like it, Because, it is sort of the thing of, you can have so many different interesting characters of, you've got just basic interesting stuff, Chilchuck, just on the fact that he is a little dude who goes around and deals with traps and stuff. That's interesting. Marcille being a mage, Senshi being a dwarf, who can cook and everything. But then you get Leos, and it's just okay, and here's the warrior. He is stock generic warrior man, but his whole thing of wanting to cook monsters and eat monsters and stuff is so weird, But I like that. I like it. Sort of drives him crazy, That he genuinely was curious if there was a way of cooking living armor. And it's just no, not actually. Because, the armor itself is just metal, It's just metal. You can't cook and eat metal. So, but I like that it's which, I guess it raises the question, is all living armor like this? Or was it just this spot in particular? these living armor in particular that were these mollusks. So I don't know, but it's interesting. It's an interesting idea too. Also, just playing on the concept of like the living armor, because that is definitely, you see the sorcerer pulling the strings of his puppets and stuff like that. But here it's just no, because it basically just makes you stop and think like, okay, well, if it's not that, if there is a creature that is doing this, a creature that they can cook, what would do this? So having it be mollusks is very interesting, and basically they're just trying to protect their eggs. Like beforehand they weren't as aggressive, but they hadn't just laid eggs. So here they're being way more aggressive because they don't want anyone attacking the eggs. So that was interesting. That was really, really interesting. And I like how he also notes is like, oh, I saw two of the armors, holding hands back in the day. I thought it was just a prank, but no, it could be like a mating ritual. So maybe that'd be very interesting. So, but I like that little thing of, how like they all just sort of move, they all sort of learn. Honestly, it kind of felt like a Doctor Who episode where it's like, here's this, fantastical thing that, maybe something you've heard of in a different story, in this different fantastical story, but now let's give it a very logical, sort of grounded explanation, basically, and have it relate to some sort of life form. So I like that. I like how that works, where it's just like, yeah, it's these mollusks that, basically become muscles for this armor. And the one at the top, where the eye holes are, is the one in charge of seeing. So when that one is gone, then yeah, it can't see, because none of them have that job within the armor. So it's really interesting. I really enjoy that. And then they cook it up. I like to, especially after the last episode with Senshi really pushing like, we can use these traps, we can use these traps in order to cook, and it's just like this crazy idea. But I like that here, even he was just kind of like, all right, I can try to cook these things up. I've never cooked mollusks, but let me see what I can do. And then when he does cook everything up, and I like that it's also a like trial and error, trying to figure out how to do this, how to actually cook them. And then I like when they, when they've got it all cooked up and they give it to Leos, and he's just like, even Senshi is just like, you try this first. Why don't you try and see if it kills you? So, which again, by the way, so this is the second time they've mentioned that, apparently you can just die and come back. Like, it is sort of like an RPG, like a video game or something, where it's just like, yeah, you can die and be brought back, I guess, at some point. Which I guess sort of begs the question, then why are we going through all the trouble to save his sister? Was it Fallon? Like, if we're going through all this trouble, like, I mean, obviously it's not a good experience for her, but like, if she's going to die in the dragon's stomach, wouldn't she just be brought back? Or do you need your body to be brought back? Maybe that's the problem. That they have to go get her to bring her back, basically. That could be it, so. I don't know. Like, it's interesting that they don't explain that at all. They just sort of have been giving these, like, passing mentions to, like, oh, yeah, that was my first death, And it's just like, oh, okay. Like, I kind of like that they don't really explain it. They're just like, it's not really the focus. It's just like, it's just a thing in this series, basically. But I don't know. But it's interesting. It's such an interesting thing. God, I can see how so many people like this. I was watching a video by ProZD, the voice of Senshi, and he was talking about like his top 10 anime for newcomers. And one of them was actually Delicious in Dungeon. And he said, yeah, I'm a little biased because I'm in this one, but honestly, he was like, honestly, this is a good one. And he said, like, he was a fan, well before he was cast in the anime. He was a fan of the manga and stuff. It's interesting, too, because he said that Delicious in Dungeon might actually be more popular in the West because like there's more people into that sort of D&D kind of thing, you know. There's more people into D&D and all that stuff in these sort of medieval fantasy adventures, that this might actually work even better here than it does maybe in Japan. And that's interesting because also Freerun is very, very big. I'm pretty sure in both, so it's not like it's just a one or the other. But it's a very interesting idea, and yeah, I can definitely see how people really, really enjoy this show. So yeah. I don't know how much else I can say about this episode. It's interesting. It is an interesting thing, but I am hungry right now, but that's just because I want to go get lunch. This is the first episode where I'm just like, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to eat that at all. I don't want to try that whatsoever. So, but still a really good, fun episode. And again, like I really enjoy Leos's character. Like the fact that he is so crazy when it comes to cooking monsters and eating them and stuff like that. It's like, that's just really funny. So I like that. But yeah, that is basically that. A bit of a shorter discussion, but that happens sometimes. That's basically it. With all of that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of my Delicious in Dungeon reactions, as well as another video you can go click on if you want. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.